Welcome everyone to another edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing. This week we're going to be talking about short-term rental accommodations, travel, real estate, and my Kansas City Royals. So the Kansas City Royals are going to be in the playoffs for the first time since 2015, so I have to give a shout out to them. But anyways, the first article that we have is about Hotel Engine. They announced a $140 million new funding round, and they also announced a new rebranding to Engine. They actually have a new valuation of over $2 billion, and they're looking to rebrand because they want to get into other segments of travel. So car rentals and airlines. And so obviously they're going from the name Hotel Engine to just Engine, and they're wanting to capture more of the overall travel industry business. And I think this is interesting. We've partnered with Hotel Engine for a couple of years now. It's a really good company. I think it'll be interesting to see them jump into a wider segment of the travel industry. So good luck there, Hotel Engine. And then the next article we have is about Airbnb wanting to kind of expand or pivot a little bit more into what they call long-term rentals. They kind of separate their stays at 28 nights or longer. So their long-term rentals are anything over 28 nights or longer. Kind of pre-COVID, pre-2020, they were at about 13 to 14% of their bookings were longer than 28 nights. And now they're at about 17 to 18% overall bookings. And they're wanting to continue to pivot a little bit to those, what they call midterm rentals or long-term rentals, what we call corporate housing. This is really kind of getting into our business. So that's why I think this article is interesting. But really what they're doing, what Airbnb is doing is they're adapting to some of the changes that have been put in place. A lot of regulations that have come on recently. In particular, it talks about New York City and then internationally, Barcelona, the length of stay. So most of these regulations are for stays of less than 30 nights or longer. So if they're over less than or more than 30 nights, they don't apply. So that's what I think Airbnb is trying to do, is they're just adapting to what they're seeing as more regulations, and they're going to try to get into more of their business being longer term stays or midterm rentals. So interesting article. Might be a little bit more competition for corporate housing, but we'll continue to watch that. And then the next article is about interest rates and home buying. Obviously this article we kind of talked about a lot this year is interest rates. Mortgage rates have been coming down. The Fed reduced their rates earlier this month. Mortgage rates had already been coming down in anticipation of those cuts. So they're down, according to this article, 6.35%. I'm seeing them in the low 6.3s. So the rates are coming down, mortgage rates are coming down, but people are still not buying. Overall, existing home sales are flat. They haven't really, the whole year they've been flat. We've just seen people locked into those low rates, under 4%, 2 or 3%, not wanting to buy, and then having to buy 6 or 7% mortgage rates. So while this is really not a lot of data, just in the last couple of months have we seen mortgage rates really falling, I don't think we're going to see a huge jump in existing home sales this year. Even with another cut in the interest rates, we'll see mortgage rates to continue to come down. But I was just looking at Fannie Mae's forecast, and it's not until the second half or Q4 of next year do we see rates coming into the fives, mortgage rates getting into the fives, which I think that's where we need to get to see kind of an uptick of existing home sales, which is good. I mean, I think it's good for 2025 if you're like us, working on our budgets or getting into budget seasons. I do think that makes a strong summer for next year as we see rates get close to 5% in Q2 or Q3. I think we'll see people moving. Relocation has really been down this year. So I think that's a good marker for next year. While this article says, people are not buying right now, I do anticipate 2025 to be a really good year. And then finally, there's an article about travel requirements. This is really about the Real ID here domestically. Part of the article is we've been talking about kind of business travel industry, in particular, the Real ID for a decade now. And so the TSA has come out and said, we're going to implement this, but we're going to phase it in over, between now and 2027. So if you don't have your Real ID driver's license yet, you still need to get that. You may have to 2027, but you should go ahead and get it now. Anyways, those are the things that I see transitioning this week. So go Royals.